And good evening, everyone. ESS, Empire State Sports, proudly presents the Wise Guys Sports Talk Show, live here from our man caves, with my co-hosts Joy Riom and Dave Bartlett. I'm Pete Gosla, and our special guest this evening, Tampa Bay Lightning assistant coach and North Country person. Let's put it that way. Derek Lalonde. Welcome to the show, Derek. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Always nice to have somebody from the North Country come on, especially that's made it big, So we're happy to have you here. All yours, Mr. Riom.
Okay. All right. So first thing first, this will without a doubt slip out. At some point, I will reference Derek as Kisser. People from the St. Lawrence Central Tri-Town community will know exactly what I'm doing. So for anybody else, that was Derek's nickname, is Derek's nickname. So I will try to call him Coach Lalonde or Derek, but if it slips out, it's just that's how we know him up here. It's Kisser.
That's Kisser.
Wait, hold on. We got to know. How the hell did you get that nickname?
I wish it's
you just can't throw something like that out there.
Lore now. I don't have an answer for you. I think it was a school ground way back in the day. I believe Darren Wilson. I think he'll take credit for it. He was involved, and I think it was just a classic kisser, like kiss her, and it just led to Kisser, and then it's got a million different runs since then. My family's always curious when we go home. I do think there's some people back home that don't even know my name. It's just Kisser. So we've had some fun with that. And it's funny, I've had the odd coach will have a relationship somewhere. He'll bring that up. And I was walking across. We were playing Montreal last year. And I still don't know who it was, but I was walking after the first period. You got to go from the bench. You got to go across the ice in Montreal. And so I got a loud, hey, Kisser, over the 19,000 people there. And John Cooper just kind of looked over at me. He's like, did someone just call you Kisser? Yes. So it lives.
And,
well, Derek, again, I can't thank you enough for doing this. And we were just talking a little bit off air before we came on. I mean, this is hard to believe. Pete, Dave, we've had our second guest. Two out of our last three guests are from the Tampa area right now. And Derek, in classic North Country fashion, today is May 4th, and it was all of 42 freezing degrees up here in Brazier Falls. What's it like down there in Tampa today?
Yeah,
Classic
it's not
85?
42. It's 80, 85. It's funny. We laugh about that. Quarantine hasn't been easy. I'm sure it hasn't been easy for anyone. But it's been kind of nice doing it here. Walking the dog, going for a run. Got a ton of cycling in. My road bike, I've probably put 600 miles on since I've done the quarantine. So it's been nice. It's funny. Last week, my wife, I was like, what a nice rainy day. And we've literally had 50 straight days. Some of our best weather is this time of the year. And we've had 50 straight days of 80, 85. Some days might be a little too hot. Some days are perfect. I'm like, God, a nice rainy day would be great. So we had one. And by 4 o'clock, I was ready to turn the Red Hot Chili Peppers on. I was all depressed. I'm like, no, this is okay. We're done with this. Let's get back to the good weather. So it's not 45 here today.
I'll give a shout out to two of my Army buddies, Don and Todd, who live in the Tampa area. They remind me pretty much, if not daily, at least every other day, what their weather's like.
Yes, big military presence down here. So pretty neat, actually.
So Derek, let's start off with obviously, assistant coach, Tampa Bay Lightning. What's life like what's work like right now for the assistant coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning? How is what's going on a daily basis in your work world?
Yeah, great question, because it has picked up a little bit. The first month, we literally did nothing. We were like everyone else. I wouldn't call it shock. A little time to brace for it. I think we saw it coming a little bit, the way the pandemic was going. And then it got announced the NBA came out the day before. We were playing Dallas that night, and it got announced. And but then the reality of it, the player for the Utah Jazz, we literally followed him through 3 cities. He had played Boston, the Celtics on Friday. We played the Bruins on Saturday. Same locker room, same weight facility, same coaching area. And then on Sunday or Saturday, they went to Detroit, and then we went to Detroit, and then we followed them to Toronto. So we literally followed them, 3 straight cities. So it got pretty serious for us, considering we had followed them. They tested positive. So we went through all the precautions, and our GM was very adamant from day one. When we left that office at noon that day, he's like, no one go out, stay home. And then we've done it. We've taken it serious. And so the first month was literally nothing. And then about a month into that, we started to get into some Zoom calls as a staff. And we do 2 a week, Monday, Friday at 4:30. And within that Zoom staff, early on, we were picking out some holes that we thought we had in our game, some areas we wanted to improve on. The whole time talking, this may be a sprint when we come back, not a marathon, which our season is quite a bit, and how to be best prepared. And a lot of Maple Leaf talk. It seems like every playoff scenario, if we end up getting there, we're probably going to see Toronto in that 2-3 Atlantic Division matchup. So that's kind of where we've been at. And then what's a little bit exciting, there is some room for optimism of late. Obviously, there's been a lot of chatter about the NHL resuming, going through 4 stages. Our GM's done a wonderful job of, he literally updates us at 1 o'clock every day on what he's heard from the league, or a verbatim memo from the league. But the talk of late is a little more serious. Say, if we do get into that phase 2 and we have the small groups, what are those practices going to look like? Now we're starting to talk some personnel. So it's hopefully getting real, and our meetings of late have picked up, but we've been fairly active. I know the power of Zoom. It's amazing. We have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday coaches cafe, something set up by a couple junior coaches out of the Quebec Major Junior League, and they have a ton of NHL coaches on there, and they present. So there's a little development for myself there, which I think is key in this time. And I've probably done 5 or 6 presentations. I did a presentation last week for the Minnesota Duluth staff. I've done one for Mankato, Penn State, where they've called and wanted a subject, what's trending in the NHL. I've done it. It's been great for my growth a little bit. It's been great for some development. But, man, it'd be nice to get into a hockey rink right now and start beating on some of these guys and competing. So we'll see what happens.
And obviously, Derek, tough way to finish your season last season, and slow start, but you guys were really coming on strong just as the pause came into effect. I'm sure you guys were really starting to feel excited about playoffs coming.
Well, twofold. The one, we liked our team. We liked how we were playing. Obviously, we had a little bit of a slow start there, but then we had 2 separate 10-game winning streaks, and I liked it. I liked our approach. We tried to fill some holes in that we lacked, maybe a little more conscious defensively. We talked about having a little bit of offensive arrogance last year when we played, where we were a bit careless with our play, and it cost us in the other end sometimes. I thought we did a good job of cleaning that up. And then the moves our manager made at the break, getting Barclay Goudreau and Blake Coleman, 2 guys that are very hard to play against. And we were just starting to get those guys acclimated with our guys, starting to get some roles, form some identity when the pause happened. So obviously disappointed what happened, but it's a reality. It's such a unique time, and obviously everyone's health and safety is first. But we've done our work. We've got the second best record in the Eastern Conference. Whatever scenario plays out of this, we're going to be in it, and we have a chance, and that's all we can ask for.
And talking to Missy West last week, who obviously is down there in Tampa, it just clicked with me again. I was going to be down there to see her and then go watch your last home game of the season, regular season, against Ottawa. And so I'm really bumming. But luckily, I get this Tampa connection to come on our show here and be able to chat a little bit and get to see you in this fashion at least. It's better. This is better than nothing, Derek.
Put a rain check on that, and if we falter in the playoffs this year, just make that trip real early next year. just to be
Okay.
safe. Okay. Just that's the reality of our profession.
Gotcha. Hey, so, you know, so far this show has been mostly stories and biographical and, you know, what's gotten you to where you are now. So, you know, I can go in 30 million different directions on this, both of us being St. Lawrence Central grads, but, you know, give the people a little idea of your high school, where you went to school, some of the coaches that impacted you, and moving on to SUNY Cortland, and from there, and Pete and Dave and I will jump in with questions as you go along. How's that sound?
Yeah, I obviously grew up in Brazier Falls, New York. Unbelievable community. I still love coming home. You ask my family, they still know how much I love that area and getting home and talking about that area. The neat thing about that small knit community is it's a true small town feel. You rarely get that, and many people I cross paths with now, they rarely have a very similar experience. And I loved as a kid just going out, and man, we had a group of 10, 12 guys, and we would leave first thing in the morning. It would be wiffle ball tournaments, football tournaments, 2 fights, then best friend hugs by the end of it. And then the next day we redo the whole thing. And that's just all I knew. It's what I did. What I really still appreciate about my time at St. Lawrence is I just was really fortunate. I went through an era of having some really good teams, being around some really good athletes. And when you have a small town, you're at the mercy of an age group. We had a class of 70 students. You don't know what you're going to get. Small schools go through their ups and downs. I was fortunate enough to go to a New York State baseball Final Four. I was fortunate enough to go to a New York State hockey Final Four, and we won our Section 10 and played in a Super Bowl. And not many people can say that in the North Country, especially from St. Lawrence. But I was really fortunate to be around just an era of some really good athletes, but some unbelievable competitive kids too. And some of the mentorship I've had then, whether it was Jerry Mahoney in football, Mickey Locke in hockey, Butchie Charette in baseball, Randy Roy was an assistant with hockey coach there, Rick Kootware in hockey, football. These guys were unbelievable leaders and teachers. I was exposed at great leadership and great teaching at a young age. And for someone like me who chose this profession of going down that path, I think I was very fortunate to run into people like that. And those guys, what I think is really neat, and I think really says something about a community and where you grew up. I'm still really close with all those people. And it's been so neat that I see how excited some of those people have been with my path. And every single one of those people I mentioned has been to an NHL game over the last 2 years. And I've caught up with them after, and then they've been so excited and proud of the path, and they're so enthralled or they're so amazed at the whole thing. It's just neat to have those relationships and those mentors that kind of led me down the path of where I am today.
Well, and obviously, you mentioned 2 coaches that are still coaching. They just finished their 87th season, I think, Mickey and Randy as head at St. Lawrence Central Hockey. But no, they're still coaching. So it's hard to believe. Not trying to date Derek and I, but they've been around a long time.
Yes,
it is. So, so what about it's funny because we had Pete's cousin Justin Quenville on, and we got a lot of information from him on USA junior hockey and things of that nature. Now, you went on and played at SUNY Cortland.
Yes.
Were you directly to SUNY Cortland, or was there?
I was. That's
Okay.
a great question, and sometimes if I had that over again, I wonder what I would have done with a little experience now of knowing what it takes and getting to the next level. I graduated at St. Lawrence. I was 17 years old, and I had a late August birthday, and I had a chance to go to a couple prep schools. One prep school in particular was South Kent that had actually recruited me. They had a package for me. And I had a relationship with Pat Martin, who ended up playing college hockey with at Cortland. He's now the assistant athletic director at Can. He was already there. Mickey, if you recall, Mickey and Dan Plante had taken over a team in that Ottawa Junior League too. So there was some opportunity there. It's just at the time, I kind of wish maybe I would have done that path. When I ended up at Cortland, or even when I started coaching, and I was at Fair State or at Denver, we had a lot of our freshmen were 21 years old. They go play the juniors, which you were talking about, and obviously I was fortunate enough to coach along the way. I wonder what my path would have been. But I wanted Cortland because, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of already had a path when I was 17 years old. I wanted to get into education. I wanted to be a physical education teacher, and I wanted to coach hockey. And Cortland was the perfect path. They recruited me. I saw opportunity. There was a lot of New York kids I could identify with that went to college there, and it had the degree I wanted. So it was an easy choice for me. But then I showed up. I was literally, I turned 18. I was 18 years old, 6 or 7 days, and I was so immature. I remember my first roommate was from Long Island, and I met someone about 45 minutes later from Long Island, and I'm like, "You must know so-and-so." Like, no, Long Island has millions of people. It's not Norwood, Norfolk, connected, Braden Falls. That's what I knew. I was very, very small town when I went there. And I graduated at an early age. I graduated college at 21, still way too young, but I still had a vision of what my path wanted to be. I had an unbelievable opportunity at Massachusetts College, Division III school that's no longer playing Division III hockey, but it was a graduate assistant program. Basically, I go there, be an assistant hockey coach, and they pay for my master's. And I got a master's of education. I still had a path where I still wanted to coach high school, maybe go into being athletic director of some sorts like that. So I had some vision as a 17-year-old, which very few people have. And a lot of my buddies at that age coming out of St. Lawrence didn't have similar vision. So it was more about that path. I knew I wasn't playing in the National Hockey League. I look at some of my college pictures now, and the fact that I took up none of the net and I got as small as can be in some of those pictures now, it shocks me why I didn't play any level past college hockey. And then, but the coaching thing, you get a passion for it once you do it. I spent a couple years getting my master's. I was, like I said, I was loaded my education. I had an undergrad in phys ed. I had a master's in education administration, and I was ready to go out in the world. And my college coach in Cortland, Al McCormick, started a brand new program in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Lebanon Valley College. Asked me to go. It gave me a chance to continue to coach. And then I was at that crossroads, like, I probably have to take my life pretty serious here and maybe make some money. Got a phone call from Phil Grady at Hamilton College. And what was intriguing about Hamilton College is they had moved some assistant coaches on the Division I level. So I went and did that. And at this time, I'd been offered some high school jobs. I'd been offered some prep school jobs. My path was there. Everything I wanted, my goal was there. And then probably the one phone call that changed my life was when Bob Daniels called from Fair State. I'd done a lot of recruiting in that Ottawa, Toronto area. In being in Hamilton, I got to lay the land a little bit. Fair State probably didn't have the same budgets as some of the other teams, the Michigan States, and the Ohio States, they were playing against. And they did some of the recruiting over the phone, and they leaned on me a little bit in the recruiting, got to know me a little bit. Jeff Blashill, the now head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, had left Fair State to go to Miami, Ohio, open a position, interviewed there, it connected. We had a ton of success there. Before I got there, they'd only had 4 winning seasons. And in my first year there, we won the CCHA. And the experience that was unbelievable, being in a league where, we were a Division II school and small resources, small facilities, and to finish ahead of the Michigan States, the Ohio States, what an experience that was. From there, the phone rang again. It was George Gwasdecki at the University of Denver. Moved on there to be an assistant coach, and total different experience. We went from overachieving, chip on our shoulders type program to University of Denver, where you're expected to win and make the tournament every year. Spent 5 years at Denver, loved it, loved the quality of life. Started a family, a young family now, and we were living in Denver. And then I knew I had to become a head coach, and if I wanted to go on and take the next level. And a lot of people at the college level, they go cut their teeth in the United States Hockey League. And had the opportunity with the Green Bay Gamblers in the United States Hockey League. Became their head coach, had a ton of success, really fortunate to take over an organization that was deep with talent. It was an established program and had a ton of success there. Spent 3 years there, and I was just expecting to go back to the college route. A lot of coaches would cut their teeth as a head coach in USHL and go back and be a head coach in college. And I was getting those phone calls. If there was a college opening in that time, I'd probably heard from an athletic director. And I wasn't saying I was going to be choosy, but I was setting myself up where I was hopefully going to land a program that was set up for success. And then the Detroit Red Wings called out of the blue. I didn't really know much about the ECHL. It's the AA affiliate in professional hockey. And Ryan Martin called me assistant general manager, and he's like, with the new NHL salary cap, we need to improve our AA team. We're going to have 5 to 6 draft picks there right now. We only have the 50 contracts. We need to improve it. Is this something you would be interested in? And I'd never really thought about the pro route, never even considered the pro route. I just had tunnel vision on the college route. And the one thing he talked about is the one thing I can guarantee you with this job is you'll have an open door to both Detroit, which was Mike Babcock, and Jeff Blashill in Grand Rapids, the American Hockey League. There's your Harvard of learning right there. And the more I started to look into it, I looked into Toledo. It was an unbelievable, unique professional fan base. I was following them when they approached me, and there were Sunday night games, and they were in last place, 30 points out of making the playoffs. They had 7,000 people at every game. And I was very intrigued, an opportunity to get that open door with the Red Wing organization and to be able to turn something around. I felt I could. Being there, I had some general manager experience in the United States Hockey League. I thought I could turn that around immediately, and we did that. I kept one player from the previous team. We improved 59 points. It was an ECHL record. I don't know if it'll ever be broken again in pro hockey. One, it's just hard to have a team that bad to find and to be able to turn it around that quick. Love Toledo. Again, any job I'd ever taken, I was ready to be there for the long haul. And then the phone started to ring. I interviewed with the Anaheim Ducks for their head coaching job in San Diego. Dallas Aikens ended up being the head coach, who's now the head coach in Anaheim. And then I went down a lengthy interview process with the Ottawa Senators to be their head coach in the American Hockey League. It was literally a 3-tier phone interview to a Zoom interview like this to an in-person interview. And they'd went a different direction. It got down to 2 of us. They'd called me at 10 in the morning to let me know they'd went a different direction. And the Minnesota Wild had literally called about a half hour later. And then I became their American Hockey League head coach. Same situation. It was a last place team. They were in a situation where it was a win now scenario in the National Hockey League, and they didn't have a lot of depth. So it was a little scary, and I had a lot of people telling me that you got to be careful. All teams aren't created equal. All leagues aren't created equal. You still need to have some players. I took it, hoping to turn that around. We did. We improved 21 points that year. Was very happy. I needed some growth as a head coach, especially at that level. I'd heard from a couple NHL teams for potential American hockey, for a National Hockey League assistant, which is a natural progression. But I was very content with where I was as a head coach in the American Hockey League. My family started to get a little bit older, so now it started to become a little more serious. We started to get some roots in Des Moines. We love Des Moines, Iowa. And the Tampa Bay Lightning and John Cooper, they had lost to 2 years ago. They had lost to Washington in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the next morning, John Cooper called me. And he's like, I foresee us making some changes. Is this something you would be interested in on my staff? And I asked him to give me a couple days. He gave me a couple days. I called him back. I said, no, I just got extended in Minnesota. I liked everything, the direction the organization was going. I started to have a voice. I had a great relationship with Bruce Boudreau in the National Hockey League of Minnesota. And then 2 weeks later, the general manager of Minnesota got fired. And just everything changed. Chuck Fletcher was the guy that brought me in. It's the reality of it. I was his guy. My general manager also got let go. Those are my relationships. And I don't know if Coop was watching or if it just the way it played out. About a week after that, he's like, what about now? Why don't you just come down and look at it? I did, and the timing was great. And this is where I'm at in Tampa. Love the fact that it's an unbelievable organization, unbelievable leadership, unbelievable ownership, and to have a very good team with a chance every year. I couldn't ask for anything more, and I'm in the present right now.
So, go ahead, David. Sorry.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. And one thing that I've always advised early in my career, take the job, be good at the job you're at. And every job, and that's, now I'm at the top of the level. I'm at the highest league. It's a dream. And there's not a day goes by that I don't appreciate the fact that I'm coaching the National Hockey League. But every job I took, I was ready to be there 10, 12, 15 years, and I was working at it as such. And I think that's the only way to go, and it's led me to my success.
One of the interesting things to me personally in reviewing for tonight, I was a former Cincinnati Cyclones season ticket holder.
Yep.
Before we moved back to New York, and we always look forward to our Friday night fish fries when Toledo would come into town.
Great rivalry, great arena. Get a little more respect now, just the way the NHL is aligned with the salary cap.
Yeah.
I love the ECHL. I love my experience there. And just that first year, our very first playoff series, we hadn't made the playoffs in a couple years. My first year, we played in a Game 7 versus Wheeling, and we had 3,100 people there. On to the next round, the conference semifinals, and we got into a Game 7 at home. We had sold the place out at 7,500. And then 2 weeks later, we got in the conference finals, and we had 8,100 people in the building, and we had jumbo screens going on outside. To be able to experience something like that, I don't care what level or where you're at, that's growth for me and something I always take with me. It's an important part of who I am.
Absolutely. I mean, I loved the ECHL. You have so much more access to the players and the coaches, and it's good hockey.
It's great hockey, and it's passionate fan bases. It's funny. It's just, I coach the National Hockey League now. I was a head coach in the American Hockey League. I could go down. I'd laugh all the time. I could walk down the street in Des Moines and have Sidney Crosby on my hip, and no one would notice us. But if I walk down with the third string defensive back of Iowa State, everyone would notice us. The one town is I couldn't grocery shop in Toledo. It's talking about in a fishbowl. It's such a unique fan base that they just embrace their own. It was a miniature NHL and ECHL, and a really neat experience.
Yeah.
So Coach, I actually printed off a bunch of stuff to do my homework here. You actually ran everything down, and just a couple things. We have a kid from San River that actually went to Lebanon Valley a few years back, Matt Healy, who was in between the pipes there at Lebanon Valley.
No, very neat.
Now, I'm not going to rush your decision here, but so you got the Tampa Bay Lightning assistant coach under your belt. What do you foresee in the future? If somebody comes a knocking for a head coach job, do you look at it, or do you stay with the Tampa Bay and because you're comfortable there right now, correct?
No, but of course. I mean, to be an NHL.
So.
Yeah, for sure. And it would be a goal of mine. It would be a dream of mine to be an NHL head coach. And, the other thing is the NHL head coach is probably the one life-changing type job. Again, there's not a day doesn't go by that I'm blessed to know I coach in the National Hockey League. Financially, it's been unbelievable, but I live day to day like everyone else. An NHL head job is life-changing for a family, and that'd be an ultimate goal. Of course, it's something I'd want to do, but I still take the same tact with this is I'm going to live in the moment. The only way I'm going to get an opportunity of being an NHL head coach is if we have great success. And if Tampa becomes one of those teams, like the Red Wings had their run and all those assistants went on to become head coaches, you got to have some success. So I have to live in the moment. I will live in the moment. I still think I do need to grow as a head coach a little bit. I'm not opposed to going back to the American Hockey League to be a head coach again and maybe go down that path if that leads me to that ultimate goal or job of being an NHL head coach. But of course, that would be a dream come true. It would be life-changing for me and my family. And it's something that I'm confident and comfortable. I think I'm ready for. So if that time comes, we'll see how it goes. But if we have success and if we live in the moment right now with the current team we have, it's the only way an opportunity like that will come about.
So growing up, who was your favorite team growing up?
That's a great question because I didn't, and obviously coaching the National Hockey League now, I never really had the two teams I was absolutely passionate about were the Buffalo Bills, which I still am, and the Montreal Expos. And the Expos is not going very well for me right now, but there is talk that they might come back. For me, it was just I liked individual players. Obviously, growing up where we grew up, everyone was a Montreal fan. I still cherish those days as a young kid and once or twice being able to go up to the Forum. How fortunate we were to jump the border, hour and a half. You're inside the Forum, one of the holy grails of hockey. So I appreciate that. But they were so successful in that era. Everyone was a Canadiens fan. I kind of bucked the trend and I went anti-Canadians simply because of that. But I grew up with just guys I liked. I remember John Van Beesbroek was someone I really loved growing up. And I remember just even in baseball, our warm-up is we would, instead of playing hitting the ball or the fungo bat like that, I would play goal. I'd take turns playing goal and pretending to be John Van Beesbroek. Kick saves, that's all like that. And then Butch and I'd be like, let's go. We got to get going here. So it's probably more, I didn't really have a favorite team. It was probably more individuals I grew up enjoying and idolizing as a young kid.
Yeah, I'm a longtime Montreal fan, still am, diehard. And at Expos, I was just talking to somebody the other day about the old Jerry Park before they even moved into the Big O. So, and yeah. I wish they would bring it back a little bit. There's been a lot of movement, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll go.
The Expos are down in your town right now, Derek.
I don't want to say anything because this is a really neat professional city and everyone's in this together. Tom Brady coming to town. Everyone loves the Rays here. It's a small city, but big city. So I don't want to, I got to be careful with what I say because I want the Rays to be successful here, but I would love any form of a Montreal Expos team would be pretty neat.
Could you imagine a downtown within the city, stadium?
They would, and now within our organization, our general managers from Montreal, our goalie coaches from Quebec, they grew up big Expo fans. They know it. And we talk about it all the time. If they could just we've all been to the Big O. When the World Cup of Women's Soccer, my wife and I snuck into the semifinals the one couple years ago there. And I forgot how bad of an area that is for a stadium, how west it is, and there's nothing there. Boy, downtown stadium would be really neat there.
It would be. Well, and Pete brought it up the other day with Missy, and you just mentioned it. What's life going to be like in the city with Tom Brady and Gronkowski walking down the street?
I think it would be so. It's funny. It was a huge buzz when everyone landed, and again, it's I love this this city, it's neat in that it is a small city, and it has that small feel to it where you generally you root for each other and the teams, and everyone loves the teams in this area. But when they landed Brady, it was so neat. And one of our good friends that our kids go to school with, they live next to Jeter's house. So they actually had footage of creeping. They had footage of all of them moving in. And I was so close to sending that to TMZ, trying to make a quick buck, but it would have been a tough one. If that came back to me, I don't know how professional that would have looked. But I think it's going to be neat. It's what I like, talk about that small knit. And being in Tampa is guys come to our games all the time. There's always guys, our guys are buddies with the baseball guys. Our guys are buddies with the football guys. Henrik Stetson, lives in the area. He's really good friends with Hedman. He's been in our arena after the game. It's just neat having a small community like this, meeting some of those guys. I'm hoping, obviously, no fans and the social distancing right now. I would love the fact of Tom Brady or Gronk coming in after a game to say hello. Would be pretty neat.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, Missy said they're stone's throw away from, I think, Jeter's place. So literally down the hill, they said they can look right into it.
Yeah, pretty small city. Everyone lives fairly close, and that's the neat about Tampa and the surrounding area here.
So, Coach, I got a question. What are the primary duties of an NHL assistant coach? I mean, I'm sure you could give me a list this long.
Different teams. I mean, I'll walk through my responsibilities and how we share things. Different teams approach it different ways. I do the penalty kill. I do everything neutral zone, with and without the puck. Everything 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Those are my main responsibilities. And I have half the forwards that I'm on top of, socially interacting with, development, day-to-day video. But we share everything. But I'd like those areas those are your areas. If we are leaking oil in any of those areas, I'm the point person. I take responsibility for it. And the other coaches look for me for accountability on that. But we share everything. That's it. Like a lot of video, a lot of skill development. I think in today's NHL, and I think one of the things that attracted Tampa to me is my development path at the levels, all development areas coming up. But we have to develop on the fly now. We're developing some of our young guys, and so a lot of it's some skill-based stuff. Obviously, running a lot of practices, run a lot of meetings. I think Coach Cooper and I got a little good cop, bad cop going. He beats them up in the morning meetings. It's the bad cop. And then I purposely roll in with the pre-meeting before the game with some positive clips in the good cop. So, yeah, different roles for different guys. I was very fortunate with the staff. I was a little attracted to the staff, knowing obviously John Cooper, then having Todd Richards just coming off being head coach of 2 different NHL organizations. I know he would be a great wealth of knowledge. And then Jeff Halpern and I both came in together, and Jeff Halpern played almost 1,000 games in the NHL. For me, not playing at that level, my first taste of coaching the NHL, I felt very fortunate to be surrounded with that staff to be able to soak up and learn from.
Great.
So I'm going to ask it before Pete and Dave ask it, Kisser. You win the cup. That day comes and you win the cup. You get that one day with it, right? What?
100%. No, we've talked about it a little bit with the family, and they're not as excited as I am, but it's 100% coming to Brazier Falls. I feel connected to Brazier. I'm guessing it's never been to Brazier Falls. One that's I've dreamt my whole life, of something like that. And we would have an absolute blast with it. And I just never, obviously, and again, I do appreciate and my path, and just to think coming from where we are, that I'm coaching in the National Hockey League. I pinch myself a lot with that, but the response of family and friends and how much it's meant to a lot of people that will come see a game. I can't tell you how many Brazier people. I've had a good group of 5, 6, 7 buddies that have been to every town I've ever coached. So I think it would mean a lot to the area and the community too. So yeah, no brainer. That we'll be dribbling that thing downtown. We'll see what that cup's made of. We'll see if it
might be a tough parking day at the Riverview. I got a funny feeling. So.
Yeah, but it'll make a lot of stops. We'll make it work. Trust
We
me.
will.
I'm sure they'll put a parade on. I'm sure. But
I kind of knew that was going to be the answer. Just wanted to reaffirm it, I guess.
Yes, that's a 100%. Actually, if I'm fortunate enough, would look forward to that opportunity. Many a day. I think about that for sure.
Awesome. Barnesy and Richie would be the first ones waiting for you.
So, Rich, a lot of those funny of my close Brazier buddies, they're Ranger fans, they're Montreal fans. It's amazing they still root for those teams.
Yeah, they do.
So the loyalty. I had a 10 guys came from Brazier, I don't know, 3 months ago, and the Rangers played here. And it was tough. I'm like, you guys, listen, I'm telling you, I don't want any Ranger BS. And it was really hard for them to root for us. But Richie's a perfect example. Richie's a huge Canadians fan. I'm like, Richie, you can root for the Canadians, and if they win the Stanley Cup, you can go buy a $35 souvenir T-shirt, or we can win it and you can actually drink out of the cup. So pick your poison. And he's quickly got on the bandwagon.
Pretty easy to root for you, Kisser. I know that when you're on, I watch as much as I can. So, and like I said, I was looking forward to coming down and seeing your arena and be able to watch you play down there in your home arena. So, here's hoping that we get back on the ice and something comes out of this season. Here's hoping.
Yeah, certainly hoping. So keep a rain check. We'll have you next year. You'll enjoy it.
Okay.
It's a really neat experience, our arena.
Yeah, I see a road trip coming.
Yep.
All the wise
We'll do a
guys.
live. We'll do a live shoot.
There we go. All the wise guys are going down for a live shoot, and oh yeah, that'd be great.
We'll push out all the NBC crews, all the big time crews, the Sportsnet, and we'll push them out for the wise guys.
Yeah, we'll be syndicated by then.
We'll do one live.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have our own XM radio by then, so
There we go.
Oh yeah. That would be my Stanley Cup. So. Oh, so Coach, when's the last time you've been home?
Kisser,
Every summer. Last summer, I got home. Actually, my parents had their 50th anniversary. Sister and I had a little party for them at the American Legion there. But I always get home. We've rented a cabin up in Higley, a cabin up in Lake Azonia. I love bringing my family home. My wife's family's from Cleveland, so we do every summer we make that swing. And obviously very unique summer this year. We'll miss out on that, but it's part of our summer routine, getting through there, and that won't stop anytime soon.
Kisser, any because we're getting close to having to wrap up, but any Tri-Town triplets? Did you play Tri-Town triplets?
Baseball? I did. Yep, loved it. Great experience. Al Towers, my coach, 1 year.
He was the coach?
He was the coach 1 year. It was I think Butchie, Munson, but yeah, I would come home from college too and play the Tri-Town triplets.
I played 1 year with him, and I played against Al. Al was Al was catching. So
yeah. So I had great experiences, a lot of just neat little community, and loved our Sunday doubleheaders there, the Tri-Town triplets.
Yeah. Actually,
my
I got down
batting averages. As I started getting older, was a cue to let's stick with hockey and maybe not waste my Sundays batting 280.
I actually went from playing for the Triplets, and then the next season I went to umpiring, and I was actually umpiring the Triplets game, and Al was catching in front of me. So it was kind of
I believe that.
Kind of weird, but it was.
I loved my softball experiences back then too. That was a huge. I just loved, and we had a loaded team, and I hated the fact that I always had to bat 10th, and they'd make me bunt all the time. But they needed me. I was the third baseman, and in modified fast pitch, the third baseman bunting is everything, and I could defend. But I'm like, guys, I can hit. Let me hit. No bunt. I can't tell you how many times I got that move the guy over.
Is that the old jug league? The old jug league?
Yeah, the old jug league. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had some great teams too, and a ton of fun, and loved it. Those were great experiences.
I miss those days.
Oh, town and tavern softball back in those days.
It was big.
That was
time.
a big deal.
It was a
huge deal.
Yes. I'd run right for my high school game, go right over. I'd have my uniform still on and play in the town tavern. Darren Wilson just sent me a lineup. I was playing a jug or a team like that back in the day. A lot of Utos and Villeneuves and Bradishes on there. It was neat. It was funny to see there.
You were still in school, but Darren and I. But the summer I graduated from high school, that was my summer job. I umped town tavern.
Yeah.
Like official ump, not just show up.
No,
Hey, there's
down
Joey.
tavern was a lot different. It was legit. It was.
Yeah. I had to
tell
dress up, and you know, I made over $1,000 this summer, and that was back when they paid umps $12 a game.
That's believe
how much
it.
We worked. It was amazing, the softball that we had around here.
It was tournaments all day, all night. It was loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Those are great times. Yeah. Pete, Dave, you got anything else?
No, if the Stanley Cup does come north and there's an opportunity to drink out of it, that would be 2 out of the 3 of the big pro cups I've drank out of, because I actually drank out of the Kelly Cup.
No, very neat. Yeah, that one eluded me barely, but
yeah.
But we obviously we acquired Zach Bogosian at the deadline, and boy, we might be able to have that cup through there.
Oh, a couple times.
We might be able to keep it. In. Zach might be scary enough where he can talk someone into keep it in that area for 4 days. So, we've actually Zach and I have laughed about that, and we'd spend a Messina brazier back and forth.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty neat.
Oh,
that'd be a great 4 days. We probably wouldn't remember it, but
I don't think that guy that follows the Stanley Cup and protects it would be very impressed.
The guy with the white gloves.
Yeah, I know we would. We would put him to a true test. There's no doubt about that.
Well, here's hoping it happens, man. That would be just the coolest thing ever. If the cup was down at our bar, oh my gosh, I don't know what we'd do.
I got a whole itinerary. It'll hit. We'd make some good stops with it. We would.
Awesome.
There'd be a G, a PG, and a rated R version on the itinerary. You guys, you want to be around for the rated R part.
Okay.
Kisser, I'm glad you gave a real interview here, man. This is the Kisser I know.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, Coach, our time has pretty much ran out here, and I tell you what, for one, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some stuff with us. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate having me, and again, I know I opened up with it. Loved where I grew up. Some of my best friends to this day were still my high school and boyhood friends. It's a special area. It's a unique area. It's always be home, and I miss it, and I'm proud that I'm from that area. So I'm glad you guys had me on.
Derek, you're the reason. You know, everybody's the reason, but I mean, this is the reason why I came to Pete and Dave about starting this up. We want to talk about the North Country and what it's done for you, and to think that we've got a North Country boy. Assistant coach for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he's got a chance to bring the Stanley Cup home someday. I mean, those are the things that, make us proud. You make us proud every day, man.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Thanks a lot, Coach, for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks, for Joey Riom, Dave Bartlett, myself, and our guest, Derek Lalonde, this has been ESS on Empire State Sports. Everybody have a good night and stay safe. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.